Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my overview of Tavern Keeper. So if you're not across it, I do overviews on this channel. It's where I have a look at the first 2 hours of a game. That's the Steam refund window. Steam reckons you can make up your mind about whether you want to keep a game or not in that time. I generally agree as a rule and would say 20 hours in, you're probably not going to change your mind about how you felt 2 hours in. So short punchy video, broad strokes info, keep it around 10 minutes and you can make up your mind on your own. There's something kind of fascinating about these Tavern Keeper type games, right? It is becoming a sub-genre, well, theme perhaps even, because you get ones that are like this, top-down strategy, colony management-esque, but you also get, first-person, four-player, co-op, tavern management simulators. But generally speaking, it's a bit of a gimmick that is becoming quickly flooded in the market. And I understand it, right? I'm a gamer, I'm relatively in touch. I feel the appeal of building up and running a tavern over time. Like, I get the pangs that most other gamers would probably get, which is why this is such a flooded market, because everyone's trying to get their dollar, get their go at the theme. But you may well be in the same camp as me, where I kind of roll my eyes when I see another one of these games. I just think, oh, here we go, another shovelware thing trying to capitalize on something that's new and poppy, but doesn't really bring much to the table. All that being said, this is in fact the exception to the rule. This is the one that's worth checking out. And it's probably easier to pitch it like this. If you told me that this was a spin-off or some sort of side project from the guys that make the 2 Point series, 2 Point Hospital, 2 Point Campus, 2 Point Museum, then I'd be inclined to believe you. It feels a lot like that. It's not one-to-one ripping it off or anything like that, but that might give you a bit of an idea. A tavern setting, but with the trappings of something like 2 Point Hospital. The humor's definitely there. It's going for like that sort of British ism that you might see in something like a Monty Python, but it also plays it fairly straight as well. You have like a narrator. I did a quick Google. I think he's like a popular audiobook British personality. I'm sorry, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but it's very well written and it's well narrated. They've done well there. Like, so many games just can't even get that right. And through the course of building up your tavern, you will have these little storybook moments pop up that keep the game a bit on narrative, which is cool, right? It doesn't just say, here's a sandbox, off you go, finish a tutorial, off the leash. No, it actually has these little vignette-y stories that keep it going along. So for example, my first tavern was in like a swamp sort of area, and a big core of that is getting your tavern up to code and passing the bar exam, which, the bar is very high. So high, it's a bar made for giants. Absurdist humor like that. And then once you get a few stars and you beat that sort of narrative, it lets you move into other regions that unlock. So it has a little bit of that back and forth that you do see in something like a Jurassic World Evolution, but, obviously the 2 Point series, that also has that kind of back and forth. Get a thing up to 1 or 2 stars here, now move to the next region, unlock more cool, powerful rooms or furniture or whatever, and then you can go back and push that star rating up. And like, I'm in the second area and it's sort of like a Hobbiton stand-in and they're dealing with an arsonist, which is, interesting. Like, it's not going to blow your socks off narratively, but again, this vignetted storytelling helps keep the ball bouncing along and keep you interested beyond just the gameplay loop. But of course, the gameplay loop's what it hangs its hat on. And for the most part, it's pretty standard fare. I'm just going to keep referencing to the 2 Point series because they've clearly drawn a lot of inspiration from it. A lot of, building placement, zone the room, place the doors, and then put furniture inside it. The cornerstone of every good tavern is that you have like a tap room, which will have bar space, but also places where you can tap different kegs to serve different dudes. And as you go further on, the game's unlocking magical items that can give me more telemetry around, like a level 1 patron versus a level 2 patron and what they expect. And in that example, it's more that they want food, so you'll have to create a sit-down table space and a kitchenette. From there, you make menus, you order food and combine them all together. It's pretty cool, it has its own menu prep screen where you can put rats on the skewers or make stews out of water and vegetables and broth and all that sort of stuff. And then you add all that up and you keep track of the supplies, beer as well, keep it all in a storeroom. So it's pretty much what you would probably expect from these sort of games. And yet often they lack in not to go too circular to my initial point, and why I kind of do turn my nose up at tavern-esque games, is it's very quickly become a flooded sub-theme within the indie space, trying to pour out shovelware and get a quick buck. It's probably worth mentioning that it's developed and published by Greenheart Games, and they did Game Dev Tycoon. That was forever ago, and it could be blamed, thanked, depends how you look at it, for this sort of wave of tycoon management type games. It is one of the older ones in the indie space, but also one of the better ones and held in fairly high regard. I'd have to go back and check it out. I haven't played it since launch. But yeah, it's very charming. You know, it has some really interesting, like even the opening launching cutscene is really well handled with love, right? And it's obviously got its own indie art style, but it starts drifting into that, I don't know, Pixar-esque, or maybe what Pixar used to be, depending on how you feel about it in modern times. But going for, charm and whimsy, but under the hood, a solid throughput mechanic where you just have a day-night cycle. You have lots of different shops that you can order from. You have like traveling ogres that come by and drop off random goods, or rather they sell random goods so you can buy to get something outside of your normal pool or repertoire. There's actually so many different brews. It's kind of wild, and they all play on, Budweiser and Heineken, and I can't think off the top of my mind, but I probably actually encountered like 20 to 30 different beer types already. There also seems to be a more robust, what would you call it? Like, it's something that I saw in the Jurassic Park 3 game, Jurassic World Evolution 3. I didn't really talk about because I don't find it that interesting, but it's something I'm seeing more and more, which is the ability to construct your own kind of items within like a creative menu that then can be deployed. And I only really went in there by accident, and it kind of almost crashed my game. Everything locked up pretty bad. But the idea is like, well, for example, I was looking for lighting, right? And you can just place down lights, different star levels and that, but you can go into this custom menu and create light sources and bits and pieces from all the different assets. Essentially, it's giving more front-end access to back-end design tools. Again, not to harp on a point that's almost a cornerstone of my belief when it comes to gaming, but like, I just want to play the game as the developer intended. I find it more and more of a cop-out where they go, here's all the sandbox tools, make your own fun. Like, if I wanted to go to an art store and buy paint brushes and paints and an easel and make up my own painting, I would do that. But at the same time, what I'm here for is a fully completed game, or to follow the analogy, a completed painted masterpiece, a painting by, an artist, and I'm buying it for their vision. So yeah, look, those tools are there. They're there if you're interested in that sort of stuff, but I barely dipped my toe because, again, I'm not that interested. Anyway, it's really good. I think the point that I need to impress is that the market is flooded with tavern-like games from all sorts of different sub-genres, and they're generally very samey, very shovelware, and the more cynical side of game development, which is, one or two devs trying to catch lightning, trend chase, and doing the equivalent of trying to get a viral YouTube video, but in the game dev space. Oh, tavern games are popular right now. If I flip this so quick that it only takes me 6 months of development, I might be able to catch the tail end of the trend with my, $15 absolute slop of a game shovelware. That's how I see a lot of indie games in general these days, which is a bit tragic, but especially in this space. So yeah, not to beat the drum, but this is the exception to the rule. If you find yourself burnt out, if you find yourself skeptical of anything with tavern in whatever on the name and the title, I'm with you, brother. I'm there every step of the way. And yet, this is the exception to the rule. And I would suggest giving it a go and checking it out, especially if you find things like the 2-point games fun. All right, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.